Now that MapleCon has come and gone, we got some more information that was alluded to back in the August Inkwell note, and so it doesn't really seem like the actual drop rate of pitched is going to be changing. Rather, we'll be getting a pity system, and just the pitched we do have won't blow up as much as they used to. So before I start talking about current pitch drop rate, let me say this clearly. Pitched item drops are not common enough. I know, it's a very brave and ludicrous thing to say. However, what I am also going to say is that it is nowhere near as bad as some people make it out to be. If you spend any time on the Reddit or the official Discord, there's no doubt that you've seen somebody claiming that they've been playing for like 3 years and they've never seen a pitch drop. When I see that, my immediate assumption is that they're not being completely honest. You see, there are so many different things that a person can do to absolutely obliterate or at the very least diminish their chances of ever getting a pitch drop. Number one, they could just be going in with little to no drop rate at all, or absolutely no drop rate. My brief moment doing party bosses on some of my alts to get them up to the Chaos Tenebris level taught me that a lot of people run around with 100%-ish drop rate, which is incredibly low. Now, the obvious answer is a player like that is likely only playing in parties, and they are hoping that one of the other 5 party members has the drop rate that the party needs to at least have a chance. But that goes perfectly into number 2, party play. If you're a person who only plays in parties of 6 in bossing, you're immediately slashing the limited chance of a pitch drop to a 1 in 6 chance. That's if somebody doesn't just ninja the loot to begin with, which I don't really think is that common, but it can happen. And number 3, everybody's idea of playing for, let's just say, 3 years is a little bit different. Some people only play seasonally, only come around when major events and hyperburns are around, and then they disappear for a little bit. Others might actually play for the full 3 years, but perhaps a lot of the time they're just grinding and not actually doing their bossing as much as they could be. You really just never know, but what I can say from my limited anecdotal observations is that I think the average Maplestory player checks all of the boxes I just mentioned. Many people just enjoy party bossing, and they don't like how long solo bossing takes, and sometimes you even see people criminally overgear a boss and still join a party of 6 even though they could solo it in a very reasonable time. And honestly, if you were doing any one of those 3 things I just mentioned and you were only playing on one character, yeah, I could see you never seeing a pitch drop, or at least never looting a pitch drop within a 3-year time frame. Now I'm going to tell you my experience. For one individual player, I have a pretty good set of data to go off of. Unfortunately, Maplestory achievements can only give us so much information. I can see the first time I've ever killed a hard boss, I can see how many times I killed it, at least for Lotus, Damien, Lucid, and Will. For other bosses like Chaos Tenebris, I need to do an estimate based off the first date I ever killed their hardest difficulty, which can drop a pitched. And finally, achievements can tell you when you first got a pitched item. And as for how many I have total, luckily I still physically have most of them, and the ones that have blown up are unfortunately burned into my brain from being so traumatic. And finally, and I promise this is the last thing before the data, let me tell you about just how I boss. I always have drop rate, a minimum of around 300%, although in the past some of my weaker alts have gone in with as low as like 200% or so. I do strictly solo progression. That means my first solo kill and my first harder chaos kill of every boss has the exact same achievement date, and since I killed it first alone, there's really no reason for me to ever party. At least for my main. I have partied on alts, but luckily that doesn't really skew the pitch drop rate because I've only ever seen one pitch drop in a party. So now let's get into it, starting with Hard Lotus. I have 402 kills. My first kill was on February 5th of 2023. My first Berserked was in November 2nd of that same year. And the total number of Berserks I've found has been 9. And if you want information on Black Hearts, unfortunately, I don't have exact information, but I can tell you I've found at least 29 plus, but I think the number is at least a few higher than that. On to Hard Damien. I've killed Hard Damien 340 times. My first kill was on January 31st of 2023. My first eye patch drop was that exact same day. Yes, I know that is pretty lucky, but that fight took me like 27 minutes. I earned that thing. I found a total of 21 eye patches, and if we want to talk about Ruin Force Shield, I have found at least 10 plus, including 2 on my Demon Slayer, which I am very lucky for finding, because I literally found a Ruin Force Shield from normal Damien on its first ever kill after I hyperburned it. I know it's stupidly lucky, and I'm very happy it happened. As for Lucid, I've killed Hard Lucid 331 times. My first kill was on September 14th of 2023. My first belt was on February 21st of 2024, and I have found a total of 12 Dreamy belts. Now for Will, I've killed Hard Will 294 times. My first kill was on December 3rd of 2023. My first book was February 9th of 2024, and I found a total of 7 books. Now, unfortunately, we are into the estimate territory as achievements beyond this point cap at 100 kills. So I have 175 estimated hard or chaos gloom kills. His first kill was October 12th of 2023. First Endless Terror was March 27th of 2025. Yes, I'm very unlucky with those things. And I found a total of 5. For Dark Knell, I've killed Hard Dark Knell an estimated 150 times. First kill was December 19th of 2023. First Commanding Force Earring was February 25th of 2024, and I found a total of 7. I have also seen 1 drop in a public party on an alt, and I did not get it, so you can kind of call that 8 if you want to talk about seeing them. For Hard Varishilla, I've estimated killed her 85 times. My first kill was September 16th of 2024. First Source of Suffering was February 28th of 2025, and I found a total of 7 sources of suffering. And for Black Mage, I've only killed Hard Black Mage 10 times, and I've never seen his pitch dropped. And I've killed Hard Saren 18 times, and I found 2 Mitra's emblems, which actually dropped in the exact same week for the only 2 characters I have that can even kill Hard Saren in the first place. So some of these numbers are pretty brutal, and you might look at something like 402 Lotus kills and only 9 Berserk drops and say, yeah, you could easily go 3 years without ever seeing one. But you also need to factor in that Lotus is one of the first bosses that any character that is eligible to even find pitch can start to kill, and it's also the oldest, well, the second oldest kill in my book after Hard Damien, meaning a lot of those kills are going to have some of the lowest drop rates I've ever killed bosses with. Whereas you compare that to a boss like Varishilla, where most any of the characters I have that can kill Varishilla have a minimum of 314% drop rate, we're looking at 7 kills, or 85 kills, and 7 drops. And since I only gave you the end totals, let me tell you some numbers that stand out here. Among those 340 Damien kills, 8 of those eye patches I mentioned belong strictly to my Dawn Warrior. 5 of those eye patches strictly belong to my Thunderbreaker, who is one of the characters I've killed Damien not the least with, but it's definitely in the lower half. And I know some of these numbers don't look like the most hopeful things in the world, but when people say they haven't seen a pitch dropped in like 2 to 3 years, these numbers just do not line up with that. Yes, 402 Lotus kills and 9 drops may sound really bad, but that is just one boss of a potential 7, ignoring Hard Saren and Black Mage. That is 364 attempts a year at finding a pitched. Now at this point in the video, everything prior to this, except the intro that I had to re-record, was recorded before the MapleCon announcement. With the various announcements we got related to pitched item drop rates, I honestly think the current drop rate of pitch that we have right now honestly isn't the worst thing in the world. It may take you a while to get your first pitched item, but if we get the Star Force changes where you can Star Force safely up to 18 stars and things just blow up at slightly less often than they do currently, honestly, things will be a lot better than they are now. There are a lot of characters I have that I have hoarded pitched on because I knew these Star Force system changes were coming and whatnot, and I was just, you know, too scared to Star Force them beyond 17. I honestly think with 2 to 3 copies, a lot of these characters are going to end up with 20 star plus pitched. Not to mention, they're going to be able to recover those broken ones a hell of a lot easier. It'll be interesting to see exactly how potent those alternate pitch acquisition systems or pity systems end up being, because right now we just know that they're going to exist. We know little to no details about how they actually function. One way or another, I think it'll be interesting to just have this video to look back on and see how many pitched I got before we ever got all these changes, because things are about to be very different.